What's up everyone, my name is Coluluin and I'm going to show you guys how to create an audio spectrum for free. Alright, so we're going to want to put in the song, so you can do this within your project or you can just drag and drop the audio file into the DAW itself. And here it is. So the next thing that you want to do is click on the mixer. You don't have to put the track into any of the other mixer buses, so just go ahead and load up onto the master. The next thing that you want to do is go ahead and load up Z-Game Editor Visualizer. And by the way, this is all free because you can do this within the demo of FLStudio, and the demo is unlimited, so I would kind of abuse this. Alright, so next we're going to add in pictures that we need. So this should be your background, logos, and anything else that you need. So you want to go over and click add content and click add pictures. Alright, so I'm just going to use the same picture that is in the original spectrum. So yeah, and the logo. So after you're done importing everything that you need, go ahead and go back to main. And the first thing that we're going to do is load up the background. So what you want to do is right here on the first layer, click none and then go to image, and from here you want to click on image search and find the background that you want. So next we're going to want to create a new layer, and by doing that you just click the create a new layer button right here. Alright, so the next effect I like to put is in all of my spectrums, and it's called full of stars. And let me just set this to 60 frames. So this is what it looks like, and I tend to shrink it down a little bit. So let's go on to the actual spectrums. Now here is where you ask yourself, what kind of spectrum do I want? Do you want a circular like audio spectrum, or do you want a very linear kind of audio spectrum like Monster Cat? The way we do that is go ahead and choose an effect, and it's at peak effects. So you can put in any of these effects and it'll give you the audio spectrum. But if you guys want a linear effect kind of like Monster Cat, you're gonna want to click linear, and this is what it looks like. Obviously you can change the color, you can change the size, you can move it around, but that is the idea of this one. So the next one that I really like is the polar effect. I don't use this one a lot anymore, but this one is pretty basic and you can do a whole bunch of stuff with it. So there's a few things that I like to do with this one, and it is the polarity, I guess that's how you say it. And it's going to basically put the lines either more into the circle or more outside of the circle. It's going to look like this. That one is pretty basic and cool. You can obviously change the color once again and move it around. But for the next one that I like to use now is called Stripe Peaks. This is the more Trap Nation kind of look. So if you guys are going for that, this is the one you want to use, and this is the one I'm going to cover today. So first thing that you want to do is adjust the, actually you don't really need to adjust the size, because I'm going to show you guys this other effect later that's going to make it bounce a little bit, and you're just going to have to do some other stuff. But let's go ahead and change the color of the spectrum. So with this one you have 5 slices, and each slice is a layer. So you can change the color of each layer, and I'm going to change the inner ones to black and the outer ones to purple. So go ahead and mess with the hue, saturation, and lightness. These are going to be your friends for changing the color. Alright, so I have the colors down, and let's go ahead and talk about some of the other effects in this particular spectrum. So first we have the frequency range, and it's basically going to like react to a certain range. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. So down here is typically just bass, and up here it's a little bit more bass and higher frequencies. So I'm going to leave it at that. Now we have bands, and this one's just going to basically add more bands or like take away. And the threshold is how far do you want it to go. So let's go ahead and lower the threshold. So I think about 60% is good. Now you can make an origin, which that's going to do is just get rid of the inner circle. But it doesn't really matter if you're going to put a logo on it later. And all of this other stuff is just going to be how fast do you want it to react. So I'm not going to really go over that. And if you guys want to mess around with it, go ahead. So next is we have use lines. Now this is going to make lines instead of like a solid color. So it's going to look like this. I'm not going to use that one, and that one is up to you guys. So feel free to change anything that you want so far. And let's go ahead and move on to the logo. So if you guys do have a logo, you're going to want to add another image layer. So we're going to add image. And shout out to Crogan for this sick logo. Alright, so make sure to follow him on everything that he has. So all the links are in the description. And yeah, like just go ahead and just support him. I'm just going to adjust the size of this. It's not going to really matter because once again I said there is an effect that I'm going to go over, which is right now. So this effect is called parameter shake, and it's going to, well, what I'm going to use it for is to make the spectrum and the logo bounce a little bit more instead of just this flat kind of looking thing. Alright, so we're going to make that bounce. So I'm going to explain how to use this because it's a little bit confusing at first, but it shouldn't be too hard after that. Basically, we have the first section right here, which is where do you want this to affect. So I'm going to make it affect the spectrum and the picture. So I'm going to start off with the picture first, and I'm going to select layer D because that is where the image is. And next the parameter, which is kind of confusing. So basically these are the parameters, and let's say for example we set this to parameter 5. What it's going to do is affect the 5th parameter that's over here. So if we count down from the top, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it will affect the size. Now that's what I'm going for. If you're going to make it bounce a little bit, follow these and you should be fine. So next let's go over the movement of the spectrum. Now we're going to set this to layer C because that is what the spectrum is on. So let's say to layer C. And the parameter, once again, we're going to adjust the size of it. So counting from the top, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this is parameter 7. And after you guys have all of that figured out, what we're going to do is mess with the shake settings. So basically what it's going to do is it's basically going to say how much do you want to change the size. So by doing that, I'm going to lower this a little bit and not making it too much. Bouncing a little bit. Now if I turn this up, you can see. So it's bouncing there, but now the circle is really tiny. So what we're going to do is just turn the base level up, and I'm going to set this to about where I want it. So I'm going to leave it about there. And for the shake level, you can just copy the settings right here onto the shake 2 setting because they're going to be bouncing at the same rate. Now for the spectrum of it, which is behind the picture, we're going to boost up the spectrum and line it up to the way we want it. Now the shake level is kind of high, so I'm going to set that a little bit lower and set this one a little bit lower too. So now it's just about adjusting the sizes just like that, and now you can see that the image and the spectrum is going to bounce. As you can see over here, the sizes are going to get affected. Just a quick like little tip, not really tip, but more of a like question that you guys might have is if you guys wind all the way back to the beginning, everything is going to be small that you just adjusted, and this will not be a problem when you render it. So if you guys do have this problem, just go ahead and select somewhere else in the track and it should go back to normal. So once everything is done, go ahead and click export video. You can choose where you want to set the video, and if you click on the little arrow right here, you can select the frame rate, or you can make it custom by right clicking and then typing in this amount that you want, and when you do that, the video bitrate will get changed automatically. So the audio bitrate, now so this video is gonna sound a bit worse than when you render a WAV file, because you don't really have a lot of options for the bitrate. So it only goes up to 128, and you can do a whole bunch of different stuff. So after you guys are done, you can click OK and then click start to start the render. So I hope you guys found this useful, and if you guys did, go ahead and subscribe, share the video if you feel like this will help someone else, and if you guys want shorter tutorials on anything, you guys can go ahead and follow my Instagram. And yeah, now I'm finally right here with you. Voice is getting nearer, heart is pumping, thoughts are running wild. We got a good thing going, while we gotta feel amplified. Staying till the morning, countless hours spending by your side. You look at me, I'm soaring, seeing all the truth behind your eyes. See you, for a moment even hope that I can feel you. To tell you that I need you. See you, for a moment even hope that I can feel you. See you, all that I wanted was to tell you that I need you. Now I'm finally right here with you. Thoughts are running wild. We got a good thing going, while we gotta feel amplified. Staying till the morning, countless hours spending by your side. You look at me, I'm soaring, seeing all the truth behind your eyes.